Thomas, it's up for grabs now! Thomas!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry.
Champions.
Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, rather. A very warm welcome to the Arsenal Lounge for a special edition. The North London Derby. We've got obviously Lev, my brother, the usual, my fellow lounger. How are you? You good?
I'm good. I had a few last minute issues, but I'm here nonetheless.
Very good. And then we've got obviously our very own special guest, Mr. Judges. How are you? You good?
Yeah, all good, all good. I don't know if anybody thinks that I wasn't late on this. It was Lev, just let's get that out there. Let's get that out there.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it. Thank you for getting that out there.
No problems.
Just before we start the show today, I just want to say, obviously, our thoughts and prayers in the Arsenal Lounge go to everybody who's going through a difficult time in Iran right now, and people who lost their lives. And we hope it comes to a positive end. And so I just want to say that to start with. Massive game tomorrow. The old North London Derby. How you guys feeling? Lev?
Nervous.
Nervous
Always nervous before these games. I think if you're not nervous, you know what I mean, if you're not nervous for these games, there's something wrong with you, So I'm always nervous for it, because I think there's a lot riding on it, So that's how I feel about it. But I'm not going to lie, because we're at home and the way we're playing, I'm confident, you know what I mean. So not overconfident. I never get overconfident, but I know that if Arsenal play to their ability tomorrow, that we'll beat them. I think we've got to play well to beat them. I'll be honest. I think Chelsea played really well against them and didn't beat them. So we've got to play really, really well, defend properly, and then let the boys up top do the business. I'm really hoping. I don't know about you guys. I know that Jesus has been absolutely fantastic for us, but he has missed a few chances. So I'm hoping that he's got his ruthless boots on this way. I'd love it if he scored a hat-trick or something like that tomorrow. I'd absolutely love it. But he's capable of doing that, guys. I'll tell you that now. I've seen him this year. He is capable. He creates chances for himself. He can. People assist him as well. I think he's been a terrific player for us, and I'm nervous but looking forward to it.
I was speaking to a Tottenham fan, a friend of mine was a Tottenham fan today, and he was not confident at all about this. And obviously, we've got a fantastic record against them at the Emirates, so it's all set for an Arsenal win. But Lev, as you know, these games, forms goes out of the window. It's all about who turns up on a day. And as Lee said earlier, regardless of, where you are and the form you're in, you feel a bit nervous with these. I remember, was it 3-4 seasons ago, we were really, really playing on form and Tottenham were rubbish. And it was everybody was thinking we're going to put 5 or 6 past them. It's a guaranteed Arsenal win. And they came and they nicked the draw. And
I remember that 2-2, wasn't it?
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on this?
Super confident. Not even worried about it.
Really? What? That confident?
Yeah, of course. No, listen. I'm gonna say this. I am confident in the way we're playing. I do feel. Mentioning Jesus is one thing. Lee's mentioned it. I think he might have mentioned it on the previous show. Actually, I think Jesus is at some point he's going to have one of these games where he scores 2-3 goals. Everything he touches goes in. He's not had one of them games. He has been getting a lot of chances. Someone is due a spanking from Jesus alone. But will it be in the Spurs game? The one thing that worries me in the Spurs game is home or away, they like to play the counter game, right? It doesn't matter which way. And we saw Chelsea outplay them. We've seen other teams outplay them. City outplayed them. But they have this ability to counter teams. And that's the one thing I worry about. However, I do feel we might be a different proposition, especially at the back with the addition of William Saliba this season. We're a different team. I saw Arseblog's headline to their write-up for the game for North London Derby, and the title was "My Willie Can Deal with Kane." So that was quite funny, but that's what I'm saying. It's going to be a real test for William Saliba at the back against Harry Kane. Son is the concern for me. Yeah, because he has this.
He hasn't been playing that great.
Yeah, but it gives them something different on the counter. Without Son, they don't have that blinding pace on the counter. So there are a few concerns, but am I confident? I'm quietly confident. Yeah, I do think we've got the beating of them, especially in midfield. It'll be interesting to see what they do in midfield. And also, it's also going to be interesting to see who we have available. Because I quietly confident that everyone will be ready for that game. But it's, if Partey is not around, it could be a totally different game.
I came across something, I don't know if it's true or not, on Twitter that everybody's in the squad tomorrow. Partey, Zinchenko, Tierney, they're all in the squad. So whether they'll get to play or not.
Do you think something was, sorry to interrupt, but do you think there was some sort of pre-agreement for the internationals? Because it was like, oh, Tierney's got a knock. He's going home. He's not making the second game. Partey's got a knock. He's not making the game. It was almost like there might have been some sort of pre-agreement that these guys are not to be risked if there's any type of risk of them getting injured. I don't know if anyone thinks that.
I'm not sure.
No? What if they turn up for that game? Do you not think then there's a bit sort of a couple of days later they're fine?
These international teams, they never do favors for clubs, man. I don't think they were going to start one now. Lee, what do you think?
No, I think they generally had little knocks, but because it's not that, like I say that important. The Nations League may have been important for Scotland, but it was a head injury, so there was a precaution aside to that. I think with Partey one, I don't know what was going on there. Like, two friendlies. Did he really need? I don't think he really needed to play in that. So maybe they were just sort of taking him over there. Maybe just saying, look, say you've got a knock and then you can come back, so it doesn't upset the Ghana fans or something like that. It could be something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You might be on that side of it, but I've had a look at all the training videos and all that this week. Like Tierney, I've seen training. I've seen everybody train, but I haven't seen Partey training at all. Like, you know what I mean? So, but Mikel turned around in his press conference and said that they're all available. I've seen Zinchenko; he was training as well. So there's a decision to make there, and I think that why would you lie about Partey not being there? You're going to say he's there, whether he's not, because you don't want them to know, I suppose. So I'll be I'll be looking at the team sheet, making sure he's on it, because I'll be very disappointed if he ain't. But the good thing, I don't know how you guys feel about this. I was talking about this earlier. I think Mikel and Arsenal, we're in like everybody's going about this October is everything. I think we've got a slight advantage in going into this month, where the other teams around us haven't. And I mean that, Thomas Partey can play Saturday and then he can be rested on Thursday and then play on the weekend, rested again on the Thursday because it's Europa League. Where I don't think Spurs and City and Liverpool and all that can afford to rest players in the Champions League because it's, quite tight in there. So I feel that we can play Partey and know that we can, rest him up for another. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's not vital that he plays in those Europa League games.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing against PSV away, I would probably play him. But the rest, I agree with you. There are teams that you could maybe play El Neni there, or maybe play Zinchenko or Lokonga there and get away with it. But whatever it is in terms of international teams, this worked well for us because all the Brazilian boys were not called up.
Yeah, so great.
Well rested. There's only. Listen, I'm quite confident about this North London derby coming up as well. There is only one thing that is in my mind. Normally, we don't do well at the back of an international break. Normally, Arsenal, the next game that is after international break, is a bit you know,
Is it a midday kickoff?
yeah,
half
We're not
12.
great. We're not great at those either, are we? Midday kickoff.
Well, it was all right against Brentford.
yeah. I mean,
Good point.
the only thing that comes to my mind, apart from that, I can't really see us unless, again, you know, Arteta messes up the tactics, which I can't see it happening. I'm quite confident we'll beat them. Do you think our defense will be able to handle their attacking power, especially if it's on a counter? I mean, they've got Son, Kane, Kulilevsky. What's the other guy? Richarlison that could come off the bench. I mean, Richarlison, I'm not that worried about, but those three, when we played them at White Hart Lane last season, they caused some damage. I admit their defense back then was not what it is now. But does that not make you think or wonder that, you know what, this is and you know Harry Kane, he always does well against us.
Personally, I think that most defences would struggle against their front four on the counter attack. We've got to be very wise to it, like, you know, because they are lethal on it. Like, what we can't afford to do is overload, and then like all of a sudden we're caught. But I don't know about you guys, and what I've been thinking is that we've dominated games this season because we've kept control of the ball, we've controlled games. So I feel that's the key, you know. And I do think that you pushed on it a little bit there, Lev. I think that Tottenham will change their tactics and go 3-5-2 on this game. I think that they'll play Kane and Song up front, and they'll have the extra man like Basuma in that midfield.
Yeah,
because
I think that, yeah.
I think if they go with the 3-4-3 or whatever it is, I think then with the two in there, we will. They play a funny sort of system where they play two in there. If they play that two in, we'll play all around them with Ødegaard in there. And I think, you know, Ødegaard, by the way, played in both Norwegian games, so he's fit. So I think that they go down that way. And if they do go down that way, then, you know, it'll be two up against our four. And I'm optimistic and hopeful that if we play Ben White, Tierney, whoever it be, and Saliba and obviously White, like Gabriel, I think that we'll be able to handle that. I think that where I feel that Spurs will get us, and if they do get us, is if we overload and then it's 3-on-3, and then they can cause us all sorts of problems. So I think this is where I look at Conte tomorrow. Do you know, like, I look at him and I think, right, is he going to change things, or is he going to go in there that way? Where I felt that Arsenal last season, the naivety of us, a little bit of inexperience in us, we'll carry on doing what we do, you know, and that we come unstuck. But I think if we play well at home, my big worry about tomorrow, guys, and it is that we play two teams, Villa and Fulham, our last two games, who have played deep blocks and looked to us on the break. Fulham, we missed chances and they nicked one. And then against Villa, we weren't ruthless enough. We played really, really well, by the way, but we was only 1-0 up at half time, allowing them to get back in it. If that happens, with Tottenham have got more lethal strikers than them. And that's what my worry is. So if they do play that, we have to be ruthless. We have to make our chances.
As the game goes along, the more the game goes, Lee, I think if nothing is happening, we will be more in time to come out. You know, we will come out more, and that might work against us because
exactly. So we've got to be in that first half. Particularly, I remember the game against Fulham. We played really well, but weren't ruthless enough. Missed chances, and then against Villa, I thought we were sensational in that first half. Probably the best. But I remember saying, the bad, you know, like Gerrard would be delighted. It's only 1-0, so we've got to play like that, and then take our chances. And I think if we do, I really do feel that we're in for a real good chance.
Yeah. How important is an early goal tomorrow, Lev?
Oh, this is what I was going to touch on, actually. Funny you say that. I think if we get an early goal, it will totally change the game, because I think Spurs eventually will try to come out more. I don't think it suits them to try and take the onus of the game and try and break teams down. they operate in behind with the spaces and the counter attacking. So if we get an early goal, it could work in our favour in the sense of. But the one thing I will say is, from what I've seen of Arteta's team this season, I don't think we're not changing the way we're playing now. We're playing like we're a lot more ruthless. Even if we get a goal, we try to get another one and another one. Whereas before we had this tendency to sit back. I hope we're not doing that. I hope we're more ruthless. It's interesting that Lee said Spurs going into a 5. I've been saying for the last 2 weeks that I've got this inkling that he's going to go with Bissouma because Partey's influence may make Conte look at that and go, well, look, we could be overpowered in midfield. So the addition of Bissouma to counter Partey might be something that they look at. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But yeah, an early goal for us could change things. I mean, I don't see Spurs changing too quickly. But then again, it's a North London derby. So if they're behind, they might panic and come at us.
Well, this is what I was going to ask you, Lev. How do you think Antonio Conte will approach this? Because we're top of the league. We're on a fantastic bit of form, right? You've got Jesus that is on a good form, Martinelli on good form, Granit Xhaka has been really good. We're going to assume Thomas Partey is going to be there. Defense has been really good, so it's a challenge. It's not the Arsenal team of last season. I can see differences in there. It's certainly not the team that turned up at White Hart Lane last season. So, how do you think he will approach it?
He will approach it like he does every other game. It's going to be defense first, and then he'll try to catch us on the counter or a set piece or a little bit of magic from one of their front three. But the priority for Conte is always do not concede. That's the first thing that's the first thing he thinks of when he puts the team out. So personally, I see them trying to just sucker punch us, and that's the concern.
Lee, do you think it's going to be the similar sort? I mean, look, let's have it right here, right? This is not about Tottenham or the squad. If they get anything out of the game tomorrow, it'll be because of Conte. So that's that, right? I'll go back to when they played Man City away and they won that game. Do you remember last season?
Yeah.
They went there, they defended really well, right? They frustrated the life out of Man City and they got them out of counter. And I remember Harry Kane even scored the last one. They came back Man City, it was a draw, and then again they got them at the on a counter. So I look at that game and I think Antonio Conte will come to Emirates with that sort of setup.
Yeah, listen, I think that he will. I think he'll play exactly the same way as he did against Chelsea. They was awful against Chelsea in the first half, if you look at it realistically, but they dug in there, they stuck in there. There was only 1-0, and that allowed Tottenham to get back into the game. If you look back at that game against Chelsea, Chelsea should have been 2 or 3 up, and that was the key. They didn't take their chances, and then that allows Tottenham to come back in. They'd be exactly the same in this game. The game against Man City last season, you did right, but I look back at those games and the one at Tottenham, they missed chance after chance, Man City like. And if you don't take your chances, they will take theirs. I think Tottenham, by the way, someone told me this, that they have the best ratio for shots per goal than any other team. So, like, if they have 3 shots, they score 2 goals or something like that. It's far, far better than Arsenal's, far, far better than Manchester City's, far, far better than anybody in the Premier League. Because the fact is, they're ruthless on the break. They make the right decision and they take their chances. They didn't play that well against Chelsea. They had 1 or 2 chances and they scored. I watched the highlights of the West Ham game because I was on holiday. If you remember, we was playing Aston Villa at the same time. Watched the highlights. West Ham had most of the play. One decisive attack. Kane makes the right decision with the pass. Own goal, 1-0. In the end, West Ham got back into the game. Probably could have gone on and won it. Why didn't they win it? Because they didn't take their chances. Tottenham had 1-2 chances, scored. West Ham had 5 or 6, 1 goal. That is the difference. Arsenal have to be ruthless tomorrow. Manchester City, I think, looked at it last season and lost those 2 games to Spurs, which and what they decided to do was go out and buy a lethal striker. I think that they realised that was what was lacking. Now, this is the thing with Tottenham, and that's why they done well against Liverpool. Look at the game against Liverpool last season. You know, Liverpool were bashing on the door. Tottenham hit them on the break and scored. And then it was a different, you know, lucky little, I think, a deflection. I can't remember from who got it. Like, I think it was Diaz had a shot and it deflected in. Otherwise, they would have beaten Liverpool as well. You know what I mean? To beat Man City and Liverpool away, the way they set up is perfect for away games like Arsenal and like whoever. But where it is poor, and that's why I don't really watch it. They continue to play that way, even at White Hart Lane. I watched Leicester have more possession than them. I think that it's 65%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't, you know, people turn around and say, oh, we was dominating and all that. Like, don't get it wrong, we will dominate our Tottenham tomorrow, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're the better side. That's because they're allowing that to happen. They will allow us to go into places and then hit us on the break. We've got to be very, very cautious of that. If we are, and we learn it. Listen, going back to that 3-0 at White Hart Lane at Tottenham, first 10, 15 minutes, we was brilliant. And should have probably been 1 or 2-0 up. We didn't. And then the game changes. So that they will do that regardless. And what we've got to do tomorrow is that first chance comes along, we must bear it. Now, going back to last season, a little bit like that last season, first one went across, I think it was Smith Rowe, Bosch, goal. You know what I mean? Like, hit him again, Aubameyang, goal. Then we hit him again, Saka. We was ruthless. And if you look back on that, Tottenham had 2 or 3 chances in that game and missed them. Like, you know, it could have actually been 3-3 in the end if they'd have took their chances. So that they're a difficult, horrible team to play against. Like, you know, but if you play well, listen, I've said it all along, and I'm not saying it's going to be Arsenal. Some team will stuff them. Some team with the way that they play, it's not sustainable the way they're playing. They will get caught out. I love it to be against us. I don't think it will be because it's not that sort of game. But like Manchester City or Liverpool will or Manchester United, for instance, who are very, very good on the break and all. By the way, were ruthless against us in that game against United. We wasn't ruthless enough. So and they were. So you have to give credit to that. Like, you know, listen, they will concede. They will concede possession up against us tomorrow. I would say that the game will probably be 60-40 in our favour tomorrow. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the game.
I agree. So we talked about Tottenham and how would they turn up and what tactics they should use. What about us, Lev? How do you think we should approach this game? Should we, you know, on the documentary, I saw something that Arteta put this tweet from Ivan Toney on the screen that, it was a kickabout against Spurs. Should he use what happened at their last season? Because to be honest with you, for me, that the pain of that game is still with me. Should he use that game to motivate them? Not that they need any motivation. And how do you think he should approach this game?
Well, firstly, look, I think we're a different side to that side. Like, if we went away this season, I'd feel more confident. Lee's touched on a really good point with the Man United game. That is very much what Spurs are going to try and do to us tomorrow. So the thing is, it's really going to be interesting. This is a really interesting conversation because we've had Odegaard out, Vieira stepped in, scored a goal. We've had Zinchenko out, Tierney stepped in. He started to look more himself after a few games. It could be as well, he's going to live and die by his decisions tomorrow, Arteta, who he plays and who's available. I'm expecting Odegaard to come straight back in, personally. I think he'll stick with Tierney. I hope he does, because I think Tierney's played in these big derbies. He knows what the atmosphere is like with Celtic. He's been captain there. I think defensively he's got a little edge on Zinchenko. I think everyone forgot about Tierney while he was injured and started saying, Zinchenko's the better player. Zinchenko is a better all-round footballer. Is he a better defender than Tierney? Probably not. But he gives you a little bit more going the other way. But I do think Tierney was underrated. I started to see he's coming on a bit and hopefully he stays fit. So if everyone's fit, I see the same side we've been seeing all season. I see Partey in the middle. I think he'll stick with Tierney. He'll stick with Ben White on the right side. He'll stick with the same centre-backs. I don't think we're going to see any real surprises tomorrow as long as everyone's fit and available.
What about tactics?
Tactics-wise, it's going to be the same. I think he's going to go for the jugular high press. I understand what you're saying about what happened last season, but we were playing away last season. It's a different kettle of fish when you're going away. And even when we try to go at them, look what happened to us. We played into their hands. I think this time around, with the likes of William Saliba at the back, it gives us something a little bit extra. You know, look what he did with Ivan Toney. I'm not comparing Toney to Kane, by the way, but Toney is a handful, and we didn't see him all game against Brentford. I think he's got the ability to mark Kane out the game. The only area I worry about with Kane is aerially. I think maybe Saliba still needs a bit more aerially. And also, one thing we've got to avoid is something rash happening, like Gabriel coming in and getting a card or Xhaka. If we can avoid all of that, I'm confident. I think the tactics should be to shut them down.
Yeah, Antonio Conte is the type of manager that would say to his players, listen, if you can get under Granit Xhaka's skin or Gabriel's skin, those two potentially can react. You can do something that would change things around. And Lee, what about you? If Arteta was to call you and tell you, "Oi, governor, what should I be doing tomorrow?"
Same as we've been doing. Same as we've been doing. I don't think. I think that the difference between Arsenal this season and last is that we played high line at Tottenham last season with Holding playing against Song. Yeah. You can't afford to do that when you got like Holding and Cedric in that set and a half-fit Tommy Assen. We didn't even have Ben White playing last season, This time around, we've got Ben White, whose recovery runs are pretty good. I think he's underrated for that. But Saliba and Gabriel, what have they got? They've got pace, so they can recover. So we can push up high. We ain't going to panic when we're pushing up high because we know. I felt like Rob Holding knew that Song had the pace of him last season, so he panics a little bit. That ain't going to happen this time around, So we can afford to just push up that little bit and be a little bit more. What I think we've got to do is mucking about and just play sensibly. Just don't go gun ho against them. Push up. Let the midfield try and dominate, then pick the passes and let our forwards do the business. Now, if Tottenham come out and leave, but they won't do it. Tottenham will. If Tottenham come and so this is where it's important for this first goal. If Tottenham will sit in, so that means one thing that they won't have is the space behind, and that's what we want with Martinelli and Saka and Jesus. What we've got now, though, I felt that last season when we had Eddie up front, is that we couldn't get behind. He didn't have the nous and the little skills to beat a player, drop a shoulder, and all that. All of these three can do that. So if they drop off, then we can have, these players can come into little pockets and play. If they push up and against us, which I hope that they do, and Perez is up against Martinelli will skin him. I watched him play I only watched the first half of the game against Leicester. Gray, absolutely, just didn't really do a lot. He just pushed the ball past him. He couldn't cope with him.
He was good, Damari Gray, in that game.
Yeah. Well, Martinelli's a different kettle of fish because Martinelli has got the little bits of jink and set, but he's also got blistering pace and he's direct. So I feel he'd be a game changer. But if Tottenham push up on us, then we've got them at the back. They won't do that. So the important thing is to don't do nothing stupid. Don't give away a silly goal. Don't make a mistake, and then just get that goal. Once we got that goal, go for it again. But if we don't get the goal, at some stage they will have to come out against us. Then we pick them off again, and that's what I think that we can do. For me, I think we just got to keep the ball, keep it turning over like we did against Brentford. I'm going to say this, guys, the Brentford game, and you'll admit this. Did you ever feel that we was going to concede a goal in that game? I was
watching the Arsenal of old, weren't it?
Yeah, just sitting there at half time thinking, this is great. We ain't, I wasn't worried. I wasn't nervous because we're assured at the back now. Listen, when was the last time we had two defenders like we've got? They're monsters. Not only are monsters, they've got pace. We haven't had that since we won titles, guys.
Yeah. And fullbacks as well.
Say again?
And fullbacks as well. Two really good fullbacks.
Listen, you know what I mean? People go, oh, Song and roast Ben White, you know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. Well, they said that about Zaha. It didn't happen, you know what I mean? He's not been roasted you know, he made a bad decision for the offside goal. He should have gone with a run in the game against Man United. A mistake. Yeah. Defensive mistake. That's the sort of things we can't do. We've got to defend properly. Arsenal have to defend properly tomorrow. If Arsenal defend properly tomorrow, we win that game.
We want the Gabriel that was playing against Brentford who made the right decision.
Exactly. Never made
that gets sucked out of position or draws the ball because he's an aggressive defender. He tries to win every single ball, and sometimes that's where it costs him. So I mean, you know, hopefully he's learned that lesson.
He's got that in him to get caught in the heat of the game and the derby, and you know, come out and you know put a stupid tackle or commit a foul right outside the box, that sort of thing. I saw something on Twitter, and I just saw some of the guys in the comments that put that on as well. Apparently, Laurice and Kulusevski are out of tomorrow's game. Have you heard anything about that, Lev?
I've heard, but you know, again, I'll see it when I believe it. Like, you know, I think that he's not trained, Laurice. He's been like he's done a hamstring, and he like, you know, I think that the problem that Tottenham have got with this is that they've got some big games in Champions League after this. I don't want to risk him, and then like he's out for another 4 or 5, 6 weeks, you know. So, and also the players probably looking at it thinking, do you know what? I don't want to play, and then when I'm only sort of 90% fit, completely tear the hamstring, and then I'm out of the World Cup. So I think there's a little bit of it, a little bit of a worry into that, like, you know. So, but I think that they're making it a last sort of ditch fit. I think Kulusevski, I think probably wouldn't be playing anyway. So I think that they're probably saying, he probably has got an injury, but they'll make a little bit more of it, like, he's only. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's on the bench and they're going, he's on the bench because he's got a slight, you know, injury. Yeah, like, you know, you have to drop one of them, and that's the one you're going to drop, you know. So it'd be interesting, Tottenham's team tomorrow, to see what they do. Like, you know, I was speaking to Michael Bridge yesterday, and he was saying that Romero only come home yesterday from Argentinian thing. So, you know, he's only trained today, you know. So, you know, like, this international break might be doing us a little more of a favour than them, because, for instance, Richarlison's played both games, Kane's played both games, Song's played both games. Our front three has played. The two of them haven't played, and the other one's played one and a bit game. So, or 90 minutes probably over the two, if I'll be honest, because he come off in the first game as well. So that could be a key, boys. That could be a
same with the backline, Lee. Our backline will be fresh too against like Gabriel.
And White,
Saliba's only had half a game, I think. Ben White didn't get picked. So I mean, that's
a great point as well. Yeah. So you know, I think that the only one that's the two that have played the most is Saka, and Ulegard. So that bodes well for us.
You just touched on something, Lee, that you reminded me to ask you something. It's a bit outside of the North London derby. Are you still not worried about facing Iran in the World Cup?
Smooth transition into.
Listen, the way I'm gonna be the way England are playing at the moment, I wouldn't fancy them against the dog and duck. I really wouldn't, like, you know what I mean. So I think England are a poor side with the players that they've got. You know,
do you not think that this current crop's wasted on Southgate, Lee?
Because 100%.
I think he's too defensive in his approach. And look what happened when we went attacking. We didn't have an option against Germany. We went 2-0 down. He's brought on Saka. He's changed the way we're playing. He's gone all out. And that's when you saw where England's strengths are. Yeah, that's our strength. We're an attacking side. He's blessed with some of the best attacking players in Europe, young players in Europe at the moment in that squad. And he's wasting it playing this defensive style, and also still utilising the likes of Harry Maguire, who was positionally awful in that game. He came out a couple of times, left spaces in behind, gave the ball away, then gave the penalty away in the same move, in the same action. He's gone for who was it he went for in goal instead of Ramsdale? He went for Pope. You know, and I just think, I don't know. I just think this current crop is far better than what we're seeing, and a better manager. Joe will be the best manager for this current crop, Arsene Wenger.
I've said that as well, because he's an attacking mind manager. We need an attacking mind manager. And I agree, like, you know, so look, listen, England have, you know, again, Gareth Southgate, very, very true, and nothing against Iran and America and Wales. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't get out of
How dare you put Iran and America in the same sentence?
well, so I'm sorry, but they are. You know, that'd be a good game to watch. But if they can't get through that, it's the easiest group of all of them. Like, you know, so they should.
I reckon England and Iran will go to the next round because USA is just not good, and Wales they can turn up, and same time they can not turn up at all, and they'll just make the numbers.
Well, I think Wales will do well if their two main boys are fit, and that's why Wales have struggled a little bit because Ramsey and Bell have just never been able to stay fit. But when them two are fit and firing, Wales are a decent side.
Yeah.
We always have to bring that Iran conversation somewhere.
Always.
This is a North London derby, and
every
there's
time,
no mention of the World Cup, and you have to ask a question about Iran. Like,
listen,
so hyped about Iran being in the World Cup.
Listen, we're gonna do some shows with the World Cup and everything. Lee, you're gonna have to promise me live on show that you will do a preview of Iran versus England with me on the channel.
I promise you, I'll do that. Like, yeah, no problems.
Good. I look forward to that. Going back to the North London derby, do you think the fact that World Cup is just around the corner may take out some intensity out of the game?
No. But I will say this: Spurs do not have to win. Let's get this straight. Spurs will probably be happy with a draw. They'll come away with a draw and they'll think, you know what, we'll have them at our ground, right?
Yeah.
So, like, at the end of the day, it's a different game. It's a little bit different for them. To them, it's probably more about not losing. To us, the fans expect us to win. They want to see a win at home. So, yeah, well, there you go. Two different.
I agree with you there. Like, I think that if Spurs were to lose tomorrow, it's not the end of the world for them. That you know what I mean. But I think it could be a big thing. It's more important that Arsenal set a statement tomorrow, and we need to win this game. One, because we're at home. Two, we've got Liverpool next week. We need to win this game. We need to win it.
It's a tricky one for Jesus, Lee, because go on.
Hang on, sorry about that. Bit of dust.
Because if Jesus picks up a yellow card.
Oh, yeah, good point. This one, yeah.
He's out of the Liverpool game, and we've got good old Eddie Nketiah playing up front against Liverpool.
Don't care. I want Jesus playing how he plays every game. I don't want him thinking about the booking. I'd rather him just go for it, play his game. If he gets booked, he gets booked. I don't care. Play your game this game. Deal with that the next game. Like, you know, it's more important that we win this game. Say again?
Especially the way Jesus plays, you know, because
he might well get a booking. He might well get a booking, but I'd rather him play like that than play within himself. No, I'm go all out, play the game. Listen, I'm sorry to say, but at some stage of this season, we're going to be without Jesus for a game because he's not going to go all the way till February without picking up another booking. It's not going to happen, like, you know what I mean. So go out there, play your game. Listen, at the end of the day, it can take away something from your game if you're on a booking or whatever, like, you know. So with one to go, like, if it was a cup final coming up against Liverpool or something like that, that's different. But no, this is the important game. Play exactly how you've been playing, and if you get booked, you get booked. End of. That's my opinion.
Shaheen,
I'll prefer us to just concentrate on the North London derby and win it. That's more important than the Liverpool game. You know, I much prefer to win that than Liverpool. Yes, go on.
Shaheen, I was just going to say, the Gabriel Jesus that played for Man City played 236 times across the course of all those matches. He was booked 22 times. That's an average one card every just under 11 games, one card every 10.7. With Arsenal, it's basically a lot higher. Like, he just gets booked all the time. It's ridiculous. It's 5 times more yellow cards at Arsenal than it has been at Man City. Why do you think that is?
Because we're ref differently. We are ref differently. We are ref differently. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, he should have got booked against Brentford. It was a booking. But the one on Partey was a booking and the ref let it go. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah. So we are ref differently. I don't care what anybody says. That is something that we've got to get used to. Like, you know, we are ref differently. I watched Martinez do a terrible tackle on Jesus in the first minute at Old Trafford. Let him off. So it give him another time to do another 2 or 3 later on. Like, you know what I mean? That Arsenal do not get let off for things. Like, you know, yes, Saka, yes, and Jesus should have got booked against Brentford, but why were they booked and like none of the Brentford players? And the simple case is we are ref differently to other teams, and that is a fact. And I'm not. It's not an excuse. I'm not saying it's that. It's a fact.
Oh, facts speak for themselves, don't they, Lee?
Yeah.
The stats are there. I mean, the guy's played 200 and odd games.
Referee differently when he plays for City. Exactly that.
100%. I agree with you, and I'm glad you said that.
And I'll give you my.
Yeah, go on.
We've got Cliff, very kind of you, very generous donation. I hate shout out lane, but score draw tomorrow, lads. Yes, Gareth is massively underachieving with this group of lads. Yes, that's what the guys were saying earlier as well, Cliff. I think Jesus has been playing a lot better than what he was at Man City. He's involved in game a lot more. So his game is to mix it in with players, if you like, and he's getting more game time, and he's playing a lot better than he was at Man City. So I think naturally he would probably end up getting more booking as well. But it's hard to disagree with the point that we are refed differently. I think because the amount of times that we've seen, you know, Granit Xhaka getting sent off for something that other people tend to get away with. I still, in my mind, the first thing that comes when we're talking about red cards and penalties is David Luiz's red card and penalty against Wolves. Yeah. Where his knee just brushed off the guy and straight away, penalty, you're off, end of. So, yeah. Who's the ref tomorrow, by the way?
I think it's Anthony Taylor, isn't it?
Let's double check.
Yeah, I think it is.
But I'll also say there's a guy in our chat. I've since I've been doing YouTube channel, I've seen some really terrible takes. But there's this one guy in our chat called Tenno Football, I think his name is. Some of his takes are the worst I've ever seen. I'm just putting that out there. Just put that. Keep an eye out for it. Keep an eye out for it. Tenno Football, quality. Anyway, go on, carry on, Shaheen.
Oh, you're checking who's the ref tomorrow?
Oh, do you want me to do that? Sorry, Tenno Football sidetracked me. Referee.
No, North London Derby is going to be it's always a physical game. So you want a ref to let go of some of the challenges to make the game flow, you know. You don't want to start. And then next thing, you know, the last thing you want is one of our top boys, one of our defenders to get an early booking. That's going to put them on a, you know, it's exactly the same thing that happened with Rob Holding. I doubt that it will be that sort of
it's Anthony Taylor.
Yeah, Anthony Taylor. I mean,
can't believe you doubted me.
Yeah, at least it's not Paul Tierney.
I was just doing it because Shaheen was expecting me to do it, so I just did it. It's Taylor. Yeah. There you go.
But I mean, look.
Can I ask quickly? What would you guys prefer if Tommy Asu was fully fit at the races? Would you prefer him back in against instead of White, or would you keep White?
I'll keep things as it is because it's been working. 1, 2, White. You know, I'm not his biggest of fans, but he hasn't done anything wrong to get dropped. And this is one of the issues I had with Mikel Arteta before, where people seem to be getting dropped for no reason. You could come in, have one good game, and then back dropped again, and then the old whoever that was put in that position would come back in. I haven't seen that this season. Tommy also has been fit, but he's kept his place, Ben White, and rightly so, because he's been doing all right, you know. And tomorrow is going to be a good test for the team as to where we are. We're going to come up against a good team, a good manager who's going to get things tactically spot on. So hopefully, we'll come out with 3 points. What about you, Lee? Would you change things or you keep it same?
No, I don't know why people want to question that. Like, you know, Tommy Asu's been out for a very, very long while. You know, he'll play Europa League games at the moment. Ben White, I think, deserves to be in the team. I think he's playing really well. I think that defensively, he's sound. Listen, I'm a big fan of Tomiyasu. I think he's great. And when he does come on, he looks a different player. He is a class player. But ultimately, Ben White's doing the job at the moment. I go back to the Saha one. Oh, he's going to get roasted by Saha. Didn't really get that much of a look in that game. Every time Tony went over to his side on against Brentford, he got slapped up. You know what I mean? And I think that he's done well. Tomiyasu has unfortunately been out for a very, very long while with injury. He's just got to bide his time. And when his time comes, take it. What that tells me is good competition for places, and that's what you need.
Perfect. That's a great point, Lee. Like, this is what I was going to say. The Arsenal of old, we've been at fault for bringing players back too soon because we didn't have good enough cover. Now, Tierney, look at we've managed to ease Tierney back in, and he's starting to look better. Tomiyasu, he was coming in, getting injured, coming in again, getting injured. Now, because we've got Ben White in that position, we can afford to let these guys heal properly, and they've got to play their way back in. And when they get that place, they've got to keep it because they know they've got someone behind them who want that position back. So these are the things. It's ironic. The only one place we don't have a player like that right now is the Partey position, and I hope we address that in January.
Yeah, and that's something we've got to address in January. We must address that in January. I think they will because, I probably feel they can get away with it in the Europa League at this moment in time, group stage. Not going to be able to get. You're going to have to be playing two very, very good sides when those competitions get back. Was it January, beginning of February, innit? So I think that we need to be very, very active in January. Very, very active.
It's a strange one as well this season, the January window, because usually there's no World Cup in sight, there's no tournament in sight. So you're going to have a tournament. Usually, what happens is you have the tournament in the summer. Everyone gets hyped about a couple of players that have done really well in that tournament. It bumps their price up. Then there's this sort of a Dutch auction for these players, but there's going to be a very short window from the actual World Cup to the January transfer window. So how that works out as well is going to be really interesting, because it could even work in our favour, because if we carry on doing well, we could be maybe still at top when the World Cup starts. It gives us the time to go and address a few other areas in the January window, maybe. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. World Cup in the winter. It's never happened in my lifetime.
No. It shouldn't happen in our lifetime. Should never be. All about money.
Yeah. It's funny how Sepp Blatter went after that, and a few others, but there you go.
We've done our predictions, so...
Have we done predictions? We've done our predictions in the last show.
We'll do it again anyway. Lee, what are you expecting tomorrow?
I expect a really tough game. I think it'd be open. I think it'd be end-to-end at times. But I think Arsenal come out on top. And the reason I think Arsenal at top, I don't think there's too much between the two teams. We are playing really well, but home advantage. Look, those fans tomorrow got a job to do tomorrow. Yeah. I'll get this thing. It was so hostile at Tottenham last season. It was nowhere near as hostile as it's been at White Hart Lane. Don't like that. That was a myth as far as I was concerned. It was a great atmosphere, but nothing. I thought, that's frightened me.
Has it changed? Has it changed like it did for us when they got the new stadium, Lee?
I think so. I think there was a lot more people there, but I thought White Hart Lane was more noisier and more in your face, if I'll be honest.
Like hybrid.
We'll have to wait and we'll see. But I will say this, that the Emirates is completely different animal to what it was 2 seasons ago or 3 seasons ago, before COVID. Since COVID's after that ground is rocking. And I'll tell you what, there were times I'm saying like chore guys, and you think, oh well, game now. I look forward to every game now because the atmosphere is going to be great. Whatever, there's going to be a buzz, and the team and the fans get right behind the team. Even I was away for the Fulham and Aston Villa game, but you heard it on the telly. When a goal down and the fans were right on side, so don't underestimate that in my book. So I feel like that's a very, very good thing, and I think home advantage is key, and that's why I'm going for the mighty Gunners tomorrow.
Interesting you say that, Lee. Do you feel like, sorry, Shaheen, but do you feel like the Emirates is starting to feel more like home now? Because it's taken a long time, and maybe now that we've got a better side to get behind and all of that. Do you think that the ground is starting to feel more like home? Because we ripped the soul out when we first left the Highbury, didn't we?
Yeah. Listen, when you first went to the Emirates, it was very, very like a bowl. That's why it got the name bowl. There weren't nothing around it. It was just concrete around it. It wasn't great. I have to say that, but it does help when you've got a good team and everybody's going in the right direction. But I honestly feel a lot of the older fans or fans, there's been a new generation of fan coming through after COVID. Like a lot of fans give up their tickets. A lot young, a little bit more enthusiastic about it and all that. Like that might die in a couple of years, so I know, but they're more enthusiastic. There's more going on at the Emirates now. There's more, I think, from the club as well to enhance that. I think Mikel's got to take credit for that. He realises that that's important. And I think that, I think the contributions of 2 or 3 things there have made it much, much better. Do
you think all or nothing might have helped as well?
A little bit, I think. Listen, the last couple of games, as I say, I've missed it. Do you know my last game was Leicester at home? Was the last time I went. It's about 7 weeks ago. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting there. And I'm buzzing. But every game I've been to towards the back end of last season, and the game, the game against Leicester was fantastic. And I just think that it ain't just from. You've got the clock end, they've got the Ashburton boys, they're giving it large on the clock end. The North Bank's got to raise its game, which it has done, so you've got that. But also the both sides of that, when they're all joining in, and it's sort of like contagious, you know what I mean? If if you're not singing, you look at them going, why aren't you singing? Giddy up, I think it's been fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, the fact that we've got a good run and we're winning, that obviously helps as well with the atmosphere.
It does. Of course it does. And I tell you what has helped as well. The football's bloody good at the moment. The football is good to watch, where there were last time, a couple of seasons ago, it was hard work watching the Arsenal. It weren't entertaining. But now it's entertaining. We've got exciting players, Martinelli excites me as a fan, as Jesus does. Saka's always done it, You've got Odegaard, with some touches and all that. Saliba, he excites me watching him as a defender. We've got good players now, players that we can relate to and enjoy watching. There were players that I weren't really enjoying watching.
Yeah.
To be honest, we know the ones. I'm not going to mention them, but
Mustafi.
I enjoy watching these crop of young footballers. I do, yeah.
And they got the desire and the effort. I think fans are relating to them more because they see that these guys are really trying, and that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Well, can I get a score prediction for tomorrow, Lee?
3-2.
Fuck, I predicted that as well. Lev, what about you?
Great minds think alike, then, Shanine. That's why instead of
I said
embrace
3-1.
it.
I said 3-1.
There you go. I like that. I like 6-1. That's what I like.
Yeah.
There's a couple of super chats, Shaheen, as well, by the way.
Can you go through them if you don't mind?
Cliff, another one. DJ Khaled. Thank you for that. White is doing well because of Saliba, exceptional cover. Good point. I tell you what, he does do that really well. If Holding was there, he would be lost. We need a true right back against the filth, but T ain't fit. Yeah, good point. But yeah, Saliba makes a massive difference to this side, 100%. And I fancy my chances. Kane against Saliba in a foot race. Saliba wins that all day long. Matthew, is it Pinkers? Thank you for your support, bro. He says, this one's for you, Lee. Hope you're well, Lee. God bless. Come on, you Gunners. There you go.
Thank you very much. Come on, you Gunners. That's what it's all about tomorrow.
There you go. There's some confident people in here saying 4-1.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Well,
I'm expecting a win tomorrow, so I'm expecting a win as well. We've been on a fantastic bit of form. I'll tell you one thing, though, yeah? I think whatever the result, it's going to be a really good game because the two form team coming together, and I just hope that it's a proper derby tomorrow with the atmosphere and the players, and and we'll come out obviously with a win at the end.
There is something I will say as well as an Arsenal fan. I mean, look. Firstly, I'm going to say this: Spurs have had a really good side the last few years. Better than I've seen in my lifetime. Apart from, I mean, I'm going to say this, as a kid, when I used to watch football, Hoddle was a quality player. They've had some class players over the years, right? But this recent sort of 5-6 seasons that we've seen, that's been Spurs' best team I've seen in the Prem, right? And they've still won F-all. And that's the way I got to look at it. There's so many Spurs fans going crazy about the fact that they've finished above us a couple of, last few seasons. But at the end of the day, when you look back at the history books, no one's going to say, oh, do you remember that time we finished above Arsenal? Do you remember that time? Your granddad, you don't want your granddad to sit you on your lap when as a kid, tell you about the team he supports and says, oh, we finished above them a few times over the years. You want to hear about invincibles and trophies and amazing, amazing sort of results and performances that you can look back at, but it's all about the trophies. So I still cannot understand this Tottenham philosophy that just because they've finished above us a few seasons, that they're like this great side, like they're on a par with us now. I don't understand it.
That says a lot about them because they compare themselves to us. So
I don't understand it.
If they finish above us, it's like a trophy. So it just shows how big we are to them, and they know that.
Go on, Lee.
Yeah, well, what I think with Spurs is, over the years of watching, I'm an Arsenal fan with Spurs and everything like that. They had a very, very good side in the early 80s. Won a couple of cups, FA Cups with the Hoddle, Archibald, Crooks, Galvin on the win. That was a bloody good side. Went on and won, I think, UEFA Cup
Ricky
as well.
Vieira in that team as well. He was.
Ricky Vieira, Ardiles, they had some bloody good players. I tell you what, they was never going to be title challengers because they didn't really have a great
team, weren't they?
Yeah, they had Graham Roberts at the back, who was midfield back player.
He was just a nasty piece of work.
Yeah, I played against him, horrible bastard, like that. But Miller weren't great, Like Chris Hughton was a good fullback, but they weren't the greatest. Ray Clements in goal. They had a decent
Perryman, Steve Perryman. They had
Steve Perryman. They had a decent side. Side. It's not, Then obviously, things went away, but they've got a very, very good side now. But I tell you what, Spurs have always played decent football. Been an entertaining side.
Yeah,
Gascoignes and Waddles, Van der Vaarts, Bow. Some good. What they've done now is they've sort of sold their beliefs to try and win a trophy. That's how desperate it's become for them to win a trophy now. The footballing philosophy of Tottenham Hotspur has gone. They're rather sit back. And there are fans that now are saying, I don't care about the philosophy of Tottenham's playing football. It's about, we want to win a trophy. They went down the Mourinho route with that, and now they're going down that. And that's fine. They're desperately trying to win a trophy, But they had a fantastic football team 3 or 4 years ago under Pochettino. Fantastic with the play. When you think about the players that they had, Walker at right back, Danny Rose at left back, Laurice in goal. They had Bow playing for him, Modric playing for him. They've had some bloody good. They had a good team. I don't think Bow was there when it was under Pochettino, was he? But just trying to think out, but they were good players. They had a very, very good team. Dele Alli on fire. Harry Kane, the best striker in Europe, at the time. Song, fantastic, but they still never got over the line playing great philosophy football. So they've changed their philosophy, and for me, there is that thing that they are desperate to win a trophy. And do you know what? I don't think they should be ashamed of that. Because I'll tell you something now, it ain't easy to win a trophy. It ain't easy because you've got the Man Cities and Chelsea's with all that money and everything like that. So, yeah, I don't see why they should say, they are desperate. If it works, then they'll be happy, But I can tell you this now, it's not sustainable. It might be a 1 year, Harry Kane now is getting into his 30s.
Yeah.
Right? There's going to be a time when he's going to not be about. What do? They ain't going to have a golden 200 Premier League goal scorer in their rank. They don't come around very often. How many other players have got 200 goals in the Premier League? Shearer. There ain't many out there. So they're going to lose that. and they're still not winning things. So I get why they're desperate at this moment. It's now or never time for them. Like, you know?
Maybe this golden generation is slowly phasing out. That's what it is.
So they need to do it now.
Yeah, they need to do it now. If they don't, you look back at this as a Spurs fan, I'm sure, and go, how did we not win anything? Because they've had their best team they've had for years, and we've still won more trophies than they have in the period.
Yeah, so, that must hurt them. That must hurt them because, you know, they have been a bit like, we've been poor over the last sort of 10 years, really.
We've had our worst spell for a while,
And we've won 4 cups.
And we've still won more than them.
And a charity shield. They've been at the best I've seen Tottenham. I tell you what, I'm going to be really honest. Let's give them a little bit of a praise because that was the best team I see when their last season at White Hart Lane when they went unbeaten the whole season. Thank God for Wembley because they was fantastic team then. And they went to Wembley. They went to.
That's a good point as well. Yeah, Wembley.
They went to Wembley. The club never bought anybody.
They were also in the Champions League at Wembley as well, weren't they?
Yeah, it was a difficult time for them. And then Pochettino didn't really get the backing that he probably deserved when you think about it. He done all of that for them. And then they actually go and give all the money to Mourinho, thankfully. So they've been a fantastic football side over a period, like, you know what I mean? But we've had to endure 6 years of them being above us and all that without them winning a trophy. They've gone 20 odd years and they've seen us win cups, titles. You know what I mean? I know what boat I'd rather be in.
Well put. Well said, Lee.
Lee, is there a train strike tomorrow?
Train strike tomorrow, yeah, but there are trains going. So if you are going to go tomorrow, check them out.
Is it? It's just the national train.
Yeah, you're all right. You're on tubes.
Tubes is all right, isn't it?
Tubes are all right, and there are trains running from this area. Like, so just if you are going, just check, but they are running.
Yeah, there you go. Some travel information from Lee. There you go. There's nothing he can't do. He'll be on a helicopter.
I can't do. I told you
he'll be on a helicopter at Sky Sports soon, doing weather and
doing the weather and all that. Like
weather and traffic with Lee Judges.
Listen, I just want to thank everybody who obviously tuned in, watched us. Please make sure you subscribe to Arsenal Lounge, subscribe to Lee Judges TV. Hit the like, comment, let us know your predicted results and how would you start the team. Lee, is it true that you've been nominated for some sort of an award?
Yes. I've been.
Tell us about that.
The Contes Approach have been nominated for the newcomer award. So for the channel and myself. So yeah, I'm very humble to be nominated. So.
He's been doing this longer than most of us, and he's got newcomer. Look at him.
Oh, I know, the newcomer, because it's obviously the channel's been So. Listen,
all the best. All the best.
Yeah, thank you very much. Whether I win it or not, who knows? But
vote for Lee Judges, and on his channel you will also get travel news. Remember that.
You get that over there. So I think it's the Football Content Awards. It's like the Oscars of it, isn't it?
The Oscar. Are you going to be in a bow tie? I want to.
I should wear my suit for it. As I've been nominated. It's a good do. It's up in Manchester this year. Last year it was in London, but it's a good thing.
If you win, are you going to come out pissed like Stormzy, giving it all? You're going to give it all that.
I will have a few beer. Listen, if I was to win, as I say, I'll be very humbled if I did, and I will be. I'll be a bit I'll be partying if I did win it. But listen,
he's going to win it. I think he's going to win it.
I don't know about that, but I'm humbled to be nominated. And there's some bigger and better people than me that have been.
I haven't seen any bigger and better people than you on the list.
I'm going to
win it,
aren't I? My channel is a team. It's a team. We were a team in our channel.
The team, listen, I have to say, I've got fantastic people behind me. That's something that I have got. I've been very, very fortunate have that. So
get your speech ready, judges. You don't want to forget these people when you go out to pick up your award.
no, like, you know what I mean. I'll have to. I would never do that and write out a speech because that would be a little bit too what's the name. But I'd have to think of saying that. Yeah. So I'd have to think saying that.
Thank us as well, Lee. Yeah?
Say again.
Make sure you thank us as well.
Oh, I'll give you a mention as well. Like, I'll get that the whole lines, you know what I mean?
No, but listen, we will support you. Whoever that obviously watches Arsenal Lounge and whoever that is subscribed to us, make sure I think you have to do some sort of a tweet or something. So we'll make sure you tweet out, obviously, Lee Judges to make sure that he comes with it, because I've seen the list and by far, you're the best that is out there. Thank you very much to everybody who's joined us. And it's been lovely having you on, Judges, as always.
Oh, no, always a pleasure, guys. You know I love you. Thank you very much for having us on.
We love you back. And please make sure you subscribe, obviously, to Lee Judges TV Arsenal Lounge. Hit the like. Lev, you want to do the bizzo?
Do the bizzo. Right, guys, massive game tomorrow. We've got to win, yeah? It's the North London derby. So make sure you're sitting in front of your sets. If you're not at the game, if you are at the game, make as much noise as possible. We want a win tomorrow. It's got to be, I want to spank them. I don't want to just beat them. I want to spank them. So let's hope it's a massive result tomorrow. 3-1, I'm saying. Judges says 3-2. This has been the Arsenal Lounge. This is all about the North London derby. Come on, you fucking Gunners. Peace out. There you go. Is that all right?